thank you for joining us in this celebration with the third annual Fort Collins Urban Design Awards. These were implemented in 2006 and again in 2008, so this is the third annual, hopefully a string of many more. These awards were created to raise public awareness and the importance of urban design and its role in maintaining and enhancing the quality of life in our community. We hope to promote and recognize individual practitioners, owners, organizations, public agencies, firms, and projects contributing to the quality of life in Fort Collins. I would like to recognize staff and the people who put this together, of course, Bruce Hendy, Becca Henry, Robin Phillips, Joe Frank, I see you out there, and Mark Jackson, and all the other city staff who put in a lot of time putting these awards together. And at this time, I will turn it back to Bruce Hendy, our Chief Sustainability Officer for the City of Fort Collins.
We're going to invite the Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem to come to the podium, and they're actually going to help us in handing out the awards. I'd like to say just a couple of words before we get started. First of all, urban design is about the design of buildings and places and in third places or making spaces, and making up our city and how people are using the community. It ranges from a city, a sub-area of the city, a street, a public space, building, or to even a single outdoor place. Urban design is concerned not just with appearances in built form, but with the environmental, economic, social, and cultural consequences that go with it. It draws together many different sectors and professions and includes both the processes and the outcomes of decisions. Urban design is not simply concerned with new development, but also with maintenance and enhancement of existing development. First of all, how were tonight's winners selected? Just to give you a background on that. A committee of city staff nominated a list of projects which were within city limits, completed any time within the last 5 years, best illustrate the qualities of one or more award categories of the design, plan, architecture, urban fragment, civic improvement, green design, and Hall of Fame. The judges were done by, and I have to say that I was still in the private side involved in a few of these, and I recused myself from judging on those projects. So please be aware that I had nothing to do with the selection. I was part of the judge panel for the other ones: Joe Frank, Steve Dush, our CD&S director, Butch Stockover from the Planning and Zoning Board, John Albright from the Landmark Preservation Commission, and Bill Brenner, formerly some time ago with RBB Architects, who has been in the community for a while. So now I'm going to move over to the award winners, and we're going to go through this. So what I'd like to do first of all is invite, as I announce the award winner, I'd like to invite one spokesperson and the design and ownership team to come up. I'd like to have one spokesperson come up. We've got 72 slides to get through in 60 minutes, so it'll be a little bit of a challenge. And so if you could come up, and would welcome having the design team up here, the design and ownership team up here, and then also have one spokesperson come up to this podium and maybe give just a minute or two acknowledgement. Our first category is design plan. This category is for a plan or study that provides a development or redevelopment strategy in the mid to long term. This year's winning projects in this category show us the importance of effective collaboration and teamwork in creating the wonderful spaces that enrich our community. So our first project in this category is Mitchell Block. The category is urban design by the Neenan Company. Those of you that remember the former Farmers Insurance building that existed at the corner of Walnut will recognize the extraordinary transformation of this corner. 5 years ago, it was easy to arrive in downtown and barely know you had arrived. The Home State Bank building and the Armory across the street began the transition to downtown, but there was still a hole in the canvas. It was easy to look right across the parking lot at the site of the food cooperative. The true character of downtown did not fully reveal itself until the Mitchell Block was constructed. The Flatiron style that was used on this was originally made popular in New York And the way it addressed the corner, the judges thought this was a very strong representation of creation of space. Together with the simple elegance of the streetscape and the modulated brick facade, the project beautifully addresses the street with reflections of history and contemporary design wrapped into one. And of course, this was further enhanced once Jazz Alley was completed with its new passage and compelling mural of music. So for Mitchell Plock, Bob Hosanna, architect, the Neenan Company, planner, landscape architect, Bruce Hendy, Roger Sherman, Jared Hua of BHA Design, builder Mark Christensen, the Neenan Company, developer Joe Zimlick, Bohemian Companies, interior design, Don Oglesby, Oglesby Design LLC, civil engineer, Cody Snowden, Northern Engineer, alley mural artist, Terry McNerney, McMurals. With that, I'd like to invite the design team to come to, and ownership team to come to the front.
On behalf of the Neenan Company, I'd like to thank everybody that looked this project over and thought it was worthy of the award. And also I'd like to thank the team that we put together for this, and especially working with the city. Really began to understand how important the vision is for the city of Fort Collins and the people behind the scenes that are putting these procedures and expectations in place, which really helped create the project that we have downtown. But I'm not going to say a whole lot, because the award tonight, I really feel is because of one organization, and that's BHA Design. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Jared Hua, and he didn't expect this, so he gets to do a little bit of talking.
So my name is Jared, and on behalf of BHA and Neenan, we're just honored to accept this award. It's truly a blessing to be able to work in practice landscape architecture in a city that values high design in both public and private development projects. And I think this project really exemplifies a lot of hard work on the part of the design team, as well as on all the different city divisions, entities, whatever you want to call them. It was a collaborative process, and I think it turned out great. I also just want to take a second to thank Everett McMillan for allowing us to work on this project, as well as Bohemian Companies. It was a fun time to work on it, and I hope you all enjoy it next time you're out there. Thank you.
Our next award winner under the urban design category is Poudre Fire Authority Station Number 4, which those of you that may not have seen that, it's located out at West Drake and roughly Taft. The jury quickly decided this was an award winner because of the wonderful integration of the building with Spring Creek and the surrounding neighborhoods. The Poudre Fire Authority Station is wonderfully in keeping with this West Fort Collins neighborhood. With respect to context-sensitive design, it doesn't get much better than this. The use of hardboard siding and cottage style, the firehouse fits seamlessly into the surroundings and graces the hillside of Spring Creek as though it had been there for years. So now I'd like to invite the design team and the ownership team to come forward to accept the award. Architect Don Watkins and Mark Belford, Belford Watkins Group. Planner Don Watkins, Belford Watkins Group. Landscape architect Tam Wall, Vesta Design. And builder Terry Drahota, Drahota Construction.
Just wanted to say thank you so much. We certainly appreciate the honor of being here tonight. This probably represents right up there with one of the most satisfying projects I've done. And the thing that has in common with all of those projects is just the team that we're able to work with. And I'm not talking about the design team there. I'm talking about PFA, who understood the uniqueness of this site and allowed us some rein there in terms of fitting it into both Spring Creek Trail and the surrounding semi-rural area. Ron Kechter with the City of Fort Collins, who helped us through a lot of pitfalls, and also Drahota Construction, who did a great job in terms of executing this. So thank you very much.
Our next category is architecture, and this is for excellence in architecture in the city. First architecture award goes to VFLA Architects, and it's for the full cycle building. What once was a rundown block rectangular building left over from the 50s or 60s has been transformed into a delightful and elegant expression of quality. Full Cycle is a bold step into redevelopment in the Midtown area. This relatively simple building was, through a few simple and elegant strokes, transformed into an elegant solution to celebrate the new bicycle business within. Full Cycle represents the next step in the gradual transformation of Midtown into the next significant economic redevelopment area in the city. Through the admirable work of VFLA Architects, we have a great addition to the future of the area. Architecture, architect Frank Vaught, planner, landscape architect Damon Holland Ripley Designs, builder Brian Blake Doan Construction, developer Les Kaplan, the Kaplan Company. Would the design and ownership team care to come forward now?
Well, this was more than a remodel. This is more of a resuscitation. And Frank referred to this building as the cadaver. But it had been on the market for about a year and a half. It was at a great location in front of Whole Foods. It was the pit of the market, 700,000 square feet of vacancy on College Avenue. But Frank and I recognized the potential of this location. We approached it as something that we hoped would be inspirational for other adaptive reuses on College Avenue. It had all the ingredients, as do so many other properties on College Avenue. Mason Street corridor, transit stops, bike trails, an intense existing residential neighborhood, proximity to CSU, 45,000 cars a day. So I'm only saying that not to say that this was the only building that could benefit by all those assets and all those benefits, but I'm saying it to encourage other people to step forward and to look at this building as a potential of what we could have on South College.
Thank you. Our next award winner is North Flats, which is located in Old Town Square. Architect Greg Fisher. This interesting step into new urbanism reflects highly on the potential of the new urbanism to create millennial generation architect that expresses quality, modernism, and an excellent living environment into small and compact spaces. Located in Old Town North, North Flats is an outstanding example of the potential to create a high-quality living environment in a small space. With sloping roofs combined with rooftop living terraces and surprisingly sweeping views from inside, these next-generation examples of Generation Y architecture make living in these residences feel luxurious. Architect, planner, Greg Fisher, landscape architects, Ransom Beagles and Ryan Manning, are design. Builder developer, David Mills. Would the design and ownership team care to come forward?
Gen Y, wow. See, Dane, I'm not so old. That's my son. I really appreciate this honor and this recognition, but I have to say it's a little bit bittersweet. You can see there's not much of a team here tonight. The developer that did this project didn't make it. They're no longer in business. The landscape architecture firm still is in business, but they're not local anymore. And so they don't get a share in this. And the developer, Millhouse Incorporated, struggled a little bit with inexperience and definitely struggled with the economy. But they really deserve a lot of credit for really striving for something unique in Fort Collins, something new. And also for striving to do something green at a time when green was still getting started. And I won't indicate that this is an ultra green building, but there's a lot of green ideals that took place that we hope will continue to take place in the second phase if and when that happens. I'd also like to recognize our design, the landscape architects, and I'd also like to give some credit to Monica Schweer, who is the developer of Old Town and had the vision for doing a new urbanist development in an unexpected spot. Of course, we'd like to thank the city for these awards to start with. This is a really great thing to have the recognition, and I think a really great thing to encourage quality development in Fort Collins. And on a more day-to-day level, I'd really like to thank the staff. We had a lot of challenges with the density of this project and having to do some things that the regulations didn't really quite get set up for. So I'd actually like to name a few names even. Ann Aspen was the planner. She was still at the city at that time. Basil Hamden, who's here tonight, helped us with some storage drainage aspects. Roger Buffington and Doug Martine were really instrumental in working out some utility easement issues for us. And of course, the building department, Russ Hovland and Mike Gibo were instrumental. I'll stop there, but again, thank you to all, and thank you all for your efforts in making Fort Collins a better place and for not resting on the laurels of all the great things we already have here. Thanks.
Okay, our next award for architecture is Otterbox headquarters. The only thing missing from this beauty, if you've been there, is the ocean. Complete with otters, the Otterbox headquarters is a liquid gym hidden in the core of an old public service building, and it is a delight. And if you haven't had a chance to take a tour of that facility, I would highly recommend it. Inundated with gracefully playful otters, the Otterbox building establishes a new high for interior architecture in Fort Collins. From the otter slide to the lime green sloping chairs, this swimmingly delightful building makes one want to just stop and smile. It's a warm and engaging atmosphere, and it shows through the laughs of the employees within. One of the highlights for me in touring the building recently was how the building happily borrows from the mature trees outside. Of course, my background as a landscape architect would do that, but it's very important and it really shows. Subtle at the beginning, after a while, one begins to notice the deft skill the design team brought in not only protecting the trees, but using them to bring nature indoors. The expansive use of curtain wall at the entry foyer invites not only the public, but also the trees in daylight. If you haven't had a tour, you can get into this beauty. It's an outstanding example of infill renovation. So architects, Jeffrey Arrett and Don Bundy, the Architects Studio. Landscape architects Craig Russell and John Beggs, Russell and Mills Studio. Builder Jim Ciesla, Brinkman Partners. Developer Stuart McMillan, Everett McMillan Commercial. Congratulations. Would the design and ownership team like to come forward?
I've been chosen to accept the award, but I really do so on behalf of each and every member of a truly amazing team of professionals. And when Kurt and Nancy Richardson originally came to us with this project, they brought with them a really phenomenal vision for this new home for Otterbox. And it's been our challenge to create a building that really embodied the culture and the spirit of Otterbox and the things that make Otterbox so unique. And each of these people on the stage tonight and a few that aren't here were really instrumental in creating that. So we want to thank each of them. In particular, Dawn Oglesby, I need to acknowledge her. She's not up on the slide, but we really had an incredible relationship with her. And from the very early on incarnations of this building, we had a lot of dialogues about interior space and exterior form, and those really led to a lot of great things in this project. So congratulations to her on this as well. And congratulations to Kurt and Nancy Richardson on this very well-deserved accolade. Thank you.
Okay, this next one's an interesting one. It's an urban fragment, so that's a piece. The urban fragments category is for a small-scale piece of a landscape or building that significantly contributes to the quality of the public realm. So our first award winner in this category is Equinox Brewing, Beer Garden, and Patio, Russell and Mills Studio. This just makes you smile, and then of course it invites you in for a beer. Partially hidden on Montezuma Fuller Alley, the Equinox Brewing Courtyard begins with a gracefully arching curved iron gateway with juxtaposing metal highlights, and then expands into a circular patio. It embraces the visitor and adds a delightful element of surprise to casual passersby cruising the alleyway. The partially overhanging arbor makes the patio cozy and comfortable while providing a bit of seclusion. Planners, landscape architects Craig Russell and Paul Mills, Russell Mills Studios, developer Equinox Brewing Company. Would you like to come forward?
This project is pretty exciting in many ways. One thing is I am Australian and this has to do with beer, so it's very fun. So.
I think this project speaks to some of the quality of the entrepreneurial base we have in Fort Collins. To me, I think that's what it really signifies. It took a lot of energy and effort for Colin and Shannon Westcott to kind of invest into this project, which was, when we started, a little two-car parking area off the side of their building. So it was cool, and to see that evolve into something that's now helping their business out. It adds about 30 to 40 people to their total capacity. And I think the other thing that's really significant is how it's evidence on private investment related to the alleys enhancements projects and related to other efforts. There's some really great synergy happening here. So, but we'd like to thank them. I think they're the ones who had the original idea. Let's create this fantastic beer garden. I'd like to thank some of the city staff who helped us out as well, getting through the permitting stage. Russ was one example, and I think we're honored to have this award, and for such a small project, it's really cool. So thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, our next award goes to an urban fragment, and that is Curtain, illuminated sculpture in the Lincoln Center, which you'd see as you walk in. Artist Barbara Baer. Talk about being upstaged. How can the performances compete with this star? The new curtain wall at the recently renovated Lincoln Center is center stage as you walk into the lobby and immediately steals the show. With the slowly cascading colors alternating across the waving glass, the curtain sculpture clearly adds depth and interest to the bright new lobby. Barbara Baer has really captured the spirit of place with her colorful and lighthearted urban fragment, which adorns the main entrance.
Oh, I know this looks like just me and Ellen Martin up here. Actually, there's a lot of people you don't see that were part of this project. Our design team was ably overseen by Ellen Martin, who is in charge of the public art program in Fort Collins. And there were a lot of other people from the community as well helping make this happen. Artists tend to hide out in their studios and make stuff. A design team is very different. You cart in an armful of ideas, you throw them up in the air and watch them turn and glitter and fall, and you talk about what you see. The ideas that glitter the brightest, that get the most interesting feedback, are carried on to the next stage. This project was truly a result of the imaginations of many people. The input of many people made it happen. And I appreciate the support and the trust our design team shared with me. Thank you very much.
Our next award is for civic improvement. This is presented for built projects initiated and implemented by a community-based organization that enhances the public realm. Winners can include projects with streetscapes, public art, parks, public spaces, and infrastructure. The award winner is the Downtown Alley Enhancement Project. As a civic improvement, they've enhanced the city's visibility, sense of safety, overall visual appearance, and added tremendously to the overall fabric of downtown. Russell Mills worked on these alleys. Their work has been truly exemplary. Reflecting on the different character of the various areas of downtown, with alleys such as Alley Cat and Montezuma Fuller Alley, the downtown has been transformed by taking visual liabilities and remaking them into exceptional places. What once was a backyard is now a front yard. Planner, landscape architect Craig Russell and Paul Mills, Russell Mills Studio, builders Chris Leone, J2 Contracting Company and TCI Construction. Developer, Downtown Development Authority. Art and Public Places Student Paver Project. Would the team like to come forward? Congratulations.
Well, this project, I think, just when we first started it, there really were no models out there for us to look at. It's really something that's kind of unique to Fort Collins, and it's really a project type that's never been achieved before or even really attempted. And I think that's what was the big challenge, obviously. But it's also where I think we owe a huge amount of gratitude to Matt and Durf for their, and the whole DDA staff, I think, for their tenacity, and they're willing to stick to this project. And you know, there were certainly challenges as we went along the way. But it's that idea that we've got a DDA who sticks to a vision. And the vision was started with Chip Steiner back a few years back, and I think Matt's done a great job carrying that through. So, you know, really appreciate that, and really appreciate all the work that our sub-consultants have done, and the help from the city staff along the way. I think that was really incredible. I'd like to thank Northern Engineering, Clanton Associates, Hines Irrigation, a little bit of help from Outerlingo Massey as well, and CTL Thompson. So this is really an honor to accept this award.
Yeah, I'd like to also extend thanks to how the DDA and the city and the design team work together to deliver an incredibly complex project that is generally the back of house, and trying to create something that's that meets a lot of goals and objectives. And I think from a design team perspective, one thing that I'm most excited and we're most excited about seeing is not only the project complete, but the changes that are already occurring along the alley that enhances businesses. And we've already mentioned Equinox, but pubs going in, Forge Pub on Old Firehouse Alley. People seeing the opportunity of, they can't extend their front door, but they can extend their back door. And I think that's something that's really great to see, the organic growth of a city. And the success of a dynamic downtown is evident here in Fort Collins, but you look at the way this will change over the future. Thanks very much.
So our next one, Council Tree Library, Knowledge Shared, category Urban Fragment, Barbara Bear. The lofty heights of letters in this message of whimsical tribute to the written alphabet. It guides visitors up the steps and into the world of books at Council Tree Library. Playfully enticing, the letters serve admirably to invite children and adults and alike into the second floor repository of books. Carefully juxtaposed against the orange backdrop of the library wall, the dark letters stand out in contrast and are highlighted by a golden disc at the summit. So, civic improvement, knowledge shared, artist Barbara Bear. Would you like to come up?
This project was a dream come true for me. I grew up being a reading nerd, and I loved to hang out in the library. For me, it was a wonderland where everything you would want to know about everything was right there. You could just go in and find it. So the chance to design art for a library was a fabulous chance for me. And working with librarians, it was wonderful. They had so many ideas. You know, their heads were stuffed with ideas. And we settled on working with symbol systems, the way we communicate knowledge. There's symbols from our familiar alphabet. There's symbols from Mandarin and Greek and Hebrew and Arabic and mathematics and music. All of those symbols we use to talk with each other about the world. Wonderful chance to play with ideas. And I very much want to thank them for letting me play with ideas.
Our next award category is in the green design category. Our first award in this category is for the Brindle Group, category green design, Judy Dorsey. It's no surprise to those of us who know the Queen of Green that this next winner is the hands-down favorite for green architecture. The Brindle Group, now in its 15th year of making us all more sustainable, celebrates their company's anniversary with a near net zero building. You can see the interior here. This delightful remake of the original ESC electrical building is an outstanding demonstration of the value of repurposing of existing buildings and creating a new deep energy retrofit, which takes this building to a very low energy demand and a very high visual quality. Architect planner Greg Fisher, landscape architect Bruce Endy, builder Lee Merritt, Doan Construction, developer Stuart McMillan, Everett McMillan, sustainability consultants Brindle Group, interior design Renee Sherman. Congratulations.
Well, my first reaction is every single one of these projects so far is green. So it's a little bit awe-inspiring to be here with all of you tonight in this category. And I'll build on Barbara's comments, being that she's the reading nerd. I am this energy nerd, so along with my coworkers. And so when we had our 15th anniversary, one of my favorite gifts was a laminated utility data analysis card from one of our friends and colleagues and a fellow energy engineer from Fort Collins Utilities. And it was just a really nice gift because, as you all know, in the design phase, we're predicting energy performance and trying to help the design team make choices. And when we did this project, we were predicting a 70% energy use reduction over a typical commercial stock in Fort Collins, and we were worried we might have gotten that wrong, and that's kind of bold to put that out there. And our UDA, our laminated UDA, shows that we're at 75% energy use reduction. That doesn't yet take into account our solar generation on site. So today we were near net zero at about 500 watts that we were using in the 9 to 3 realm. Last Friday, we were exporting in that same time frame, 9 to 3 roughly. So I'd like to thank my coworker Seth Jansen and my other coworkers at Brindle Group for being fellow energy nerds with me, and also our colleagues at the City of Fort Collins and the Integrated Design Assistance Program. And what that meant for us is that green building doesn't have to be can only be innovative and breakthrough on new construction, that you can be innovative and breakthrough on renovation. The other part of, and I know we all do this as professionals, try and disprove the myths of building. So the other myth is that if it's green, it is going to compromise function, form, or aesthetics. And we've seen your beautiful buildings and we know they're green. I just wanted to thank and acknowledge Greg Fisher and Renee Sherman, because we're so thrilled to be in this beautiful, high-performing building for our team. And it's just no compromise there in terms of function, form, or aesthetic. The third thing, people then say, well, you surely must have paid more. And we all know in this down economy, it's hard to get financing. We're a small business and privately owned by my husband and I, and I could not thank enough Stu McMillan and Everett McMillan, and also Doug Doan for helping us realize our family and our business dreams in that realm. So I can tell you we did not pay more for our green, high-performing building. They can tell you too. So I would just say that the onus on us here tonight and awards like this is on replication. And I'll be honest, I'd say 80% of this is very replicable for small, medium-sized businesses, deep energy renovation. 20% is not. We wanted to push the envelope and prove out and cut our teeth onto the next frontiers. And to that, I'd like to thank the Downtown Development Authority for our Green Building Grant that made possible our solar project, which is demonstrating emerging technologies from 3 Colorado clean energy companies. So I think that recognizes everybody. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next award for green design is Odell Brewing, and this happens to be a hard one to recognize because it's on the roof, but this is for the green design for Odell Brewing Company. Not only an invitee to the much celebrated Scotland Brewing Festival last week in the heart of ale country, the Odell Brewing Company has also shown us that good brewing and green design can go hand in hand. From the permeable paving in the parking to the photovoltaics on the roof, the commitment to the sustainable architecture is apparent everywhere. With the inspiration from the Odell family, RBB Architects, created a design that celebrates the craft brewing heritage of Odell Brewing in a somewhat rustic but warm and friendly style that not only reflects the spirit of the brews within, but also carries sustainability in all facets of the building function. This is an example of some of the, you can notice the hops bicycle racks in the corner, permeable paving. Architect RB+B Architects, landscape architect BHA Design, builder Delta Construction, structural engineer KLNA Inc., mechanical engineer CE Group, electrical engineer APS, civil engineer Northern Engineering.
Hi, I'm Rebecca from RB+B Architects, and when Odell and Angie Maluski are here for BHA. We just want to thank you for a couple of input we had from the city during this project, real similar to the Brundle Group. We did get to work with the Integrated Design Program, and then also DDA with their green grant for the PVs on the roof. And then as Bruce mentioned, the permeable pavers in the parking lot were we were helped by the city stormwater to get those put in. But really it was our client, the Odells, that were so interested in doing everything as sustainably as possible. And Doug had a lot of interesting ideas for us to follow through on. There's reuse of processed water and things like that that are, you don't see them in the building design itself, but it's in the operation of the facility, and everything, the way that they do things and the way that they think is all in that same sustainable aspect. So that the green portion of the building is one thing, but then just being a continuation of the urban fabric, I think that's nice to win this award, because we really saw ourselves as part of Fort Collins, downtown Fort Collins, even though we're down the hill. But it's really great to be part of all of the wonderful design that we're seeing here in urban Fort Collins. So, thank you.
Our final category is reserved for those that have contributed significantly to the built environment over the years and have made significant contributions to the urban fabric of our community. The award for this Hall of Fame tonight is Gene Mitchell. This is his quote: "There is great strength in being willing to go broke." This is a quote from this year's Hall of Famer, Gene Mitchell. With this, tonight, rather than me spending words on this, I actually tonight would like to invite one of his longtime colleagues and also one of, I think, our champions for design in the city of Fort Collins, a person that's been here for many, many years, been an integral part of the overall fabric of our community. And he will be here tonight to accept the award in place of Gene Mitchell, who could not make it, and he will have a few words. Jim, would you like to come up?
Good evening, I'm Jim Reedhead. I had the good fortune of being on the project management team for Old Town Square back in, starting about 81. And normally when I speak, I just wing it. But when you accept something on behalf of somebody else, there's an implied responsibility to mostly tell the truth and to stay on topic. But I'm going to get off topic immediately and say that it was really heartening to see how many awards were associated with the alley improvements. I remember seeing Gene poring over aerial photographs of Old Town and speculating that someday the alleys would be another transportation connector throughout the whole downtown area. And it's 30 years later, but that's happened. And so I think one thing, you just need to be patient and tenacious. So back on script. It's an honor to accept this award on behalf of Gene Mitchell. Gene lives in California now, is 85 years old, and doesn't travel much these days. He wishes he could be here. I do too. While planning my remarks for this afternoon, my thoughts kept turning to an excerpt from the speech, Citizenship in a Republic, delivered at the Sorbonne in April of 1910 by Theodore Roosevelt. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Teddy Roosevelt's "The Man in the Arena" observations. They are as relevant now as they were 101 years ago. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who erred, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who know great enthusiasm, great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. There is no question that Gene spent time in the arena and willingly pledged his time and treasure for the betterment of the community, especially his downtown linchpin project, Old Town Square. That was known probably for 3 years, 82 to 85, as Mitchell's Folly. Yes, he faced resistance and challenges, but he did so with great resolve, dignity, and character. His many achievements demonstrate his strength of spirit, vision, and deep concern for all who call Fort Collins home. Gene Mitchell's induction into the Fort Collins Urban Design Hall of Fame acknowledges our city's debt of gratitude for all he achieved. Again, on behalf of Gene Mitchell, thank you.
Thank you for your contributions to Fort Collins and our unique quality of life. It does take good design, it does take team effort, and it does take stepping into the arena doing something far beyond what the norm is. So thank you all. This was great.